Healthy, beautiful, youthful looking eyes. It's very important to an overall look because when you meet people, what do? The first thing they do is look at your eyes and they go, are you tired? Are you healthy? Are you someone I want to be around? The second area, what do you think the second area is that people look at? They go from your eyes to the mouth. It's why we spend a lot of time on these two complex areas. Today I'm going to tell you things you can do at home inexpensively for beautiful, youthful eyes. What are and what makes a youthful looking, vibrant eye? And what is it about the skin around the eye or in this area that makes it hard to get that look? And as we age, it gets harder. There's more steps that we need. Going to go through topicals, habits. Very end, I'm going to talk about one injection that I like around the eye that's all natural. And importantly, I'm going to tell you two things that I think people should never do around the eye. And if they're going to do them, I'll give you some parameters. So very important video today. The eye is the window of the soul. And if we think about the eye, let's first look at one here. If we look at the eye, what's important? What makes it youthful? Well, now, especially, brow hair frames the whole thing. So we have brow hair is important. We have lashes. We have the iris or the colored part of the eye, and then the white of the eye. On this channel, most people are concerned about hooding or the skin above the eye, and also the skin below the eye, the hollow, the eye bag, the dark circles. You can see how complex it is, and we haven't even really talked about the meibomian glands, or the glands that produce oil to lubricate the eye to keep it youthful. And part of this mentioning the oil is the fact that the skin on the upper and the lower lid don't have oil production glands. Those areas produce very little oil, and oil can often keep the skin youthful. And it's one of the reasons why sometimes male skin looks a little more youthful, partly from shaving, but also there's oil production from the hair follicles, the testosterone and the hormones that males typically have. So the eye lends itself to aging. Let's start with number one. What can you do? And that is diet. The eye, I mentioned, there's not a lot of oil glands, it's thin skin. Some of the thinnest in the body, like the neck and like the back of the hand, gives away age. So it's very sensitive to salt. And when we take too much salt, people always say when they go have sushi, the next morning they wake up, they're bloated. For many other people, it's things that create inflammation. So while salt will cause a baggy under eye, gets better during the day, inflammation, like maybe to the soy that's in sushi, we're not picking on fish, but a lot of people to breads, to wheats, to gluten, all kinds of foods, if they create inflammation, we call it inflammaging. And it's a complex cascade that involves collagenase, elastase, things we call MMPs, matrix metalloproteins, and these break down the collagen, elastin, extracellular matrix, and you get sag. And that happens around the eye if it's inflammation, not just from food, but also from external sources. If people have eczema, if they have rosacea, and yes, you get rosacea around the eye, this can all lead to it. So it's not just what you don't eat, but it's also what you do eat, meaning avoid pro-inflammatory foods, and each one of us are individual for that, but no inflammation, and avoid inflammaging around the eye. Allergies also cause inflammation, continual itching of the eye, eczema. We want to get everything under control, because if not, doesn't matter what eye cream you use, what topical product, what soothing product you use, that inflammation will age the eye. So keep inflammation to a minimum and address and clean up any inflammation that might be present. Number two is, of course, inflammaging from sun, UVA, UVB. It's much more complex than just inflammation, but it actually breaks down collagen in and of its own right. So we want to avoid the sun rays. Everyone's scared, vitamin D deficiency, don't we need some sun? Yes, you need some sun. Sun isn't all bad. Understand, even with sunscreen, 50% of the sun still gets to us. So I don't think that's a problem. If you're in the sun, you can wear sunscreens. The question is, and I talked about inflammation being bad, what kind? Well, sunscreen itself isn't toxic to the eye. So if you get a little bit of a sunscreen in your eye, not the end of the world. Of course, you're going to get a red eye, maybe irritation's not good long term. But mineral sunscreens with things like titanium dioxide, zinc oxide, those are a little better to use around the eye. They're less irritating. And they're going to cause more problems. And then the consistency has to be appropriate too. And if you're going into water, you want it to be waterproof. And then certainly still, it could sting the eye and cause redness around the eye. Some people have them in the makeup. Better than all of these, for me, is sunglasses. And people talk about umbrellas, they talk about hats. Those are all great things, but we get scatter of light. And just because you're wearing a hat, when you're out in the sun, the light's coming from everywhere and it's scattering into the eye. And so sunglasses are great for fashion, but forget the fashion first, go for function. And I like sunglasses, you'll see the ones I wear, if you ever see my Instagrams and so on, that's kind of, I share where I'm at, what I'm doing. I'm always wearing the largest glasses I can kind of get away with, and they hug the face. So it's important. Keep in mind, it's not just the sun damaging the skin around the eye, but for many of us that we're on the water a lot, like myself, we have what's called surfer's eye or chronic redness of the eye from long-term damage of the UV light. To the white part of our eye, to the sclera. And it's almost irreversible. I think there are some treatments they're coming up with, but many people have this who are in the sun. And of course, when you're partaking in water sports, especially on a more extreme level, you can't wear sunglasses. That can even be dangerous at times. So you do your best, but many people did not wear sun and they have chronic sunburn of the white of the eye. So it's not just the skin around it. For sun's sake, wear sunglasses and sunscreen. Don't kill your collagen. Number 3, consider fish oil. Now, fish oil doesn't just help the eye itself, but also, of course, the skin around the eye. Let's start with the eye itself. So many people have dry eye, ocular surface disease, irritated eye, of course, inflammation. People are looking at computer screens all day long. That in and of itself can cause a problem because of blinking or lack thereof. Fish oils have been found to help protect the eye, and people who are on them blink less and have been shown to have less dry eye. Studies are a bit conflicting on this when you look at randomized trials, but if you just talk to people, they've noted their eye feels better. The tears are made of water and oils, and fish oil has 2 main omega-3s in it. One is DHA and the other is EPA. Now, let's get right to the dosing. If you are going to take it, the dosing for DHA is 120 milligrams and for EPA is 180 milligrams. So you're looking for that in your supplement. But people do know it helps with the eye itself. Now, what about the actual skin of the eye? Well, a 2018 review in Marine Drugs found that the fish oil and its components, including the omega-3s, can help support the skin's overall health. The review found evidence that fish oil can help by maintaining the homeostasis, improving barrier function, inhibiting inflammation, particularly that from the UV light, and just overall promoting skin health. It's thought to maybe help with acne. Those studies are questionable. If it does, it's likely through the anti-inflammatory effect and the skin healing effect. But again, this is somewhat questionable. It may help some, may not others. Same with pigmentation. It's been thought to help with pigmentation, maybe through the anti-inflammatory component. Maybe it actually helps with decreased melanin production. We know dark circles around the eye is bothersome to so many people. Of note here, it's not all good. If you are on fish oil, the thing I see the most is people come and get injections and they bruise. So it can thin the blood. First of all, it can throw the LDL cholesterol off in some, which is the bad cholesterol that people do not want high, and it can throw the sugars off as well. So be mindful, and it should be taken in the picture of overall health, and of course be talking to your physician before you start something like this. A lot of supplements, even though they do a lot of good, they're not necessarily for everyone. Number 4, skin tightening products around the eye. And it's not just skin tightening, but these products do a lot more. And the two that I like, when people really know their skincare and you don't go overboard, are number 1, AHAs, alpha hydroxy creams, and number 2, retinols. Let's take the AHA first. Alpha hydroxy acids, and many of these products will have BHAs or beta hydroxy acids in them. They are acids that help exfoliate the skin, brighten the skin, help with the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, and they've been proven over time. Just like I'm going to talk about retinols, you can't overdo it. So if you put these 3 or 4 times a week on your face, you will need a good moisturizer, and you might not use them every day on your face. It might be once or twice a week, more towards once for many people, because the eye skin is more delicate. So be mindful. The second one is retinol, and I put it as number 2 because retinols can itself, in and of themselves, cause dry eye. And for many people, they come off the retinols if they travel, or they're, for one reason or another, they run out and they say, wow, my eye feels so much better. And it's because they've taken a break and they found the retinols actually irritate the eye. So retinols are one of those that you have to be more careful with. They can cause red eye and dry eye and eye irritation. And remember, spread of effect. So when you put a retinol in the mid-face, it may well get to the lower lid, especially if the face is damp and you're applying them after cleansing. Be very careful. There are retinols made for the under eye. I would maintain you do not have to go out and purchase those. Take your regular retinol. I wouldn't do this with a retinoic acid. That might be a little extreme. But a retinol, and then you can buffer it by putting something like your moisturizing or your ceramide before. In my case, the Ultra Moisture product is what I have my patients do, and they can put that on first and the retinol after. I don't have them mix them together in a small container or anything, just layering properly. But be mindful, chronic inflammation ages, so be judicious in the use. Step it up, give yourself 6 weeks before bumping your dose up. So start maybe once or twice a week at most and move up. My favorite would be an AHA personally over retinol. And I would throw growth factors in there too with bakuchiol or bakuchiol. I did a whole video on that because that does not give the irritation that I have seen that the retinol will. So if you can't take a retinol and then you can't take an AHA, your next step would be growth factors. And you can combine the growth factors with either an AHA or a retinol. Likely you're not going to be on all 3 of those. A little overkill for most people. Lastly, and I'm going to, after this, tell you 2 things never to do around the eye, in my opinion, at least what I tell my clients, my patients. But number 6, of course, you know, wound healing. We talked about avoiding inflammation with a lot of what we talked about here. The next part is wound healing, and wound healing, growth factors, and all the factors that help rejuvenate from your own body. And that means drawing blood, spinning it down, and getting your growth factors, mesenchymal stem cells, and injecting them back. One of my favorite treatments, because there's nothing added, it's all you. There's no synthetics. We spin the blood down and we do plasma brow, plasma eyes, and that helps to rejuvenate that whole area. It gives a little bit of volume, it gives projection, helps grow brow hair, and it makes the skin just overall look healthy. And you can see people that use platelet-rich fibrin in their practice, they will do a lot of these and it works. PRP, as you know, I'm not a fan of. If you don't get the results with PRP, that would absolutely make sense to me. And you can watch my platelet-rich fibrin videos, watch my videos on plasma eyes and plasma brow. They have their own websites if you want to see. And you can go and see what that entails, but they are injections. Now, what are the 2 things that you should never do around the eyes, in my opinion? Number 1 are heating devices that so many people lose facial fat with. I always tell you, it's okay to lose facial fat in areas you don't want it, okay? Here, here, and here. But you want to keep your fat underneath the eye. If you have a big eye bag, that's something different. You might target that area either through surgery or through these devices, but using radio frequency or high frequency ultrasound, HIFU, under the eye, know who's doing it, because you can lose your fat, and the fat is what actually makes the under eye and the area around the eye look youthful. Think of that lateral orbital rim, the hollow on the outside of the eye. Without that, people look aged. You can see the bone. It's why we add PRF back, and I talked to you about plasma eyes. So don't go losing the fat. Be very careful with heating devices, especially you home gamers. If you get a device online, how do you know the temperatures it reaches consistently? Good clinics treat hundreds of people, and they can more predictably treat those areas around the eye and get a predictable result. So be mindful of heating devices around the eye and see a specialist for those. Number 2, I have to tell you, lash serums that contain bimatoprost, isopropylchlorprostinate, and other prostaglandin analogs. I did a whole video on those where you see you can lose some fat around the eye, you can get fibrosis of the skin, you can get red eye, and ptosis of the eye, so a drooping of the eye from loss of the fat around and behind the eye. Many things can happen with those, so be mindful. Not all bad. Some of you tolerate them very well. Just understand, if you notice an aging eye after your lash serum, consider a growth factor lash serum or something without those analogs. Some people do like castor oil. Be mindful. Racinoleic acid in there does hit the prostaglandin receptor as well. There's no great data to know whether that might age the eye or not. I know many of you like it. If you're doing well with it, great. I prefer growth factor products around in the eye, not only just under the eye, but for brow growth to hold the hair in that growth phase that keeps it youthful. I put a complete playlist up here on platelet-rich fibrin and plasma eyes, and one down here on things you can do at home. Keep your skin and body beautiful, healthy, and vibrant.